Alright, hey guys, Fatal Ferret here, and welcome back to another visual novel video. Now, I know it's been a very long time, and I do apologize, but I have several visual novels on the docket I do really look forward to playing. I've backed a few on Kickstarter, so we can get into all that stuff later, but right now, we have this awesome game I'm really excited to play, if I'm honest. It's called Karmasutra, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I saw this game came out on Steam, I believe something like 3 to 5 days ago, and it instantly caught my attention. Really wanted to play it. So I actually got in contact with the people who actually created the game, and they were kind enough to give me a key for the game to try out. So I'm super thankful to those guys. Definitely Top Hat Studios Incorporated, I think, was the name there. So that's super awesome of them to do, to let me go ahead and give the game a try. So we're definitely going to play it. So this is like a visual novel RPG hybrid type game that's sort of inspired by D&D, and I love everything about that sentence. So we're going to go ahead and get going right here, but that's kind of, it just immediately caught my attention. So that sounds really cool, and I'd really like to try it. Please select the oh no. Story only sounds interesting. Easy. Well, I'll go. I'm not a pussy. I'm not. I am actually, but we'll go normal because I can't not go normal. That just seems horrible. So also, just as a heads up before we start the game, I've been told the game is a little bit sexual. So if you don't like that kind of thing, or you are a young lad or lady, maybe you should scamper on home because this might not be the Let's Play for you. But everybody else, obviously you're welcome to stick around. Also, there is a free, I love this, a free uncensored patch that, they have released on Steam for this, which is the only way to do this kind of thing on Steam, I think. Some companies will charge you, you know, give us $10-15 more to buy the boob patch. No, these guys did it the right way. They have the price of the game, added the uncensored. We are not playing on the uncensored patch. I don't exactly know what that means, but we'll find out. I figured we don't want it uncensored for you. You do want it, but I can't. ... My body aches with a pain strangely foreign to my flesh, yet all too familiar to my mind. A light feeling of euphoria rushes over me as I stare further into the void that lies beyond my closed eyes. I feel myself jolt a bit at first, but I find myself still unable to restore my vision. This blanket of darkness before me seems to extend into the distant horizon, reflecting a faint presence in my midst. Oh, sounds. My sudden bodily spasms come to a halt as I hear the sound of foliage lightly crackling in front of me. Before my mind has time to react to the imminent aura that stands before me, a soft voice breaks the ambient silence. Now, what could this be? The voice is oddly soothing, giving off a charming femininity. Femininity. Her slight accent emphasized each subsequent word with a spur of friendly curiosity. Oh my vision has surely never failed before. Or is this me? Oh, this might be actually be me, I'm not sure. She takes a short pause, giggling ever so slightly in a way that couldn't help but arouse my weary spirits. Is this her speaking? Be it... I say her, I don't know if it's actually a her, I just educated guess. Be it that this will not be of the first. Ah, and I see, yes. What have you done to yourself amidst my presence, lost one? Is she attempting to talk to me? Her enigmatic speech pattern creates a dissonance in her intentions. I find myself at a loss for words as I listen to her mystical dialect. Its exaggeration feels almost fictional. Not proceeding to answer me, then? Perhaps she was trying to address me after all. I feel the certain desire to speak, but my body's weary state seems to unfortunately still carry the residue of death. That's not a good thing. So stubborn, so stubborn. This is why all wanderers have such rotten stature. Her soothing voice faintly turns more aggressive, the playful curiosity in her voice transitioning to a childlike selfishness. Am I going to have to get you up myself? As if I am some kind of... Met... I don't know what that says. Am I being dumb? Met recharge. I don't know. I'm dumb. Sorry, I'm dumb. I hear another light crackling of foliage as I suddenly feel a soft touch of skin rub up against my leg and chest. And why must you be so heavy? I ignore her childish comment. The light friction of our colliding skin suddenly turns forceful as her body presses up against my own. Despite my exhausted state, I slightly jerk as the seductive sensation of her warm breath on my neck. Even with being so greatly disoriented, I can't help but wonder, just how close to me is she? And up we go then, stubborn one. In a quick series of motion, I find myself hoisted into the air and subsequently struggling to clasp onto a sense of balance. After my failure to do so, I sense my body falling, but I soon find myself caught by the warm grasp of my survivor. As her body presses heavily against my own, I turn in to feel what I can only assume to be her breasts pressing against my chest, as is the only way in these types of games. I feel my entire body spasm after a modest slap, and I then feel the blood returning to all my numb limbs. A sense of urgency replacing the former numbness. My eyes suddenly thrust open as well, the sharp contrast from the absolute darkness prior to the light shining down from the thick canopy above the seriously, it's been so long since I read a lot of manga, but I don't read a lot of books. I listen to audiobooks because I'm not the best reader. I'm not the best reader in playing visual novels. Anyway, let's move on from that. Momentarily blinding me. Oh, hello. Oh, I like her. Oh my god, her eyes are beautiful. When I finally come to my senses, I am greeted by the sight of a thickly built woman. Thick. She's thick, boy, with the tan skin and eyes that glistened hazy green. I notice a body of water amidst the deep forestation around us. It's a pool contained in the ruins behind her, reflecting the shreds of light from between the crackling in the trees from above. I notice her eyeing me slightly, as an intensely curious is reflected in her stare. Maybe this would be intense curiosity? I'm not sure. She begins to talk before I can first react. Finally awake, are we? Now, you were beginning to worry me. I look for words to respond with, but I feel nothing but empty air leave my open mouth. Not even going to thank your beloved laborer? How selfish are you, dear wanderer? Unable to speak, I nod in approval and calmly gesture with my hands. She playfully giggles again in return. You are almost of great worry to me, my dear wanderer. Why then were you in such great refusal of passing? Did I frighten you? With the last sentence leaving her lips, a frown begins to form on her face. I find myself still unable to respond vocally, but I begin to shake my head to respond to her question. Then realize I had almost ignored the first question. I mentally scrambled to understand what she meant. I tried to think back to where I was before I found myself on the verge of death. To my great disappointment, I find my memories hazy and my life's experiences scattered and misaligned in my mind. Don't clasp onto your memories too forcefully, my dear. As she tries to comfort me with her enigmatic murmurs, I quickly break from my thoughts and return to reality. I look back upon her to find herself cradling her hands and rocking back and forth impatiently. Now, I am sure you are brimming with the necessity for questions, but of primary concern, of course, you must use your words. Consume from the pool behind me, my dear wanderer. You are about to enter the map view. Click adjacent tiles to move. These are denoted by slow blinking. Use the top left menu, so top left, to access the player menu, skip a turn, or re-explore a tile. The player menu can be accessed with a right click. Some tiles will auto-trigger events upon landing on them, and others will require clicking the explore button. Not all areas will show all icons upon arriving. Some will only show tiles you've already landed on. Okay, interesting. This is gonna take a little bit of getting used to, but it's different, and I like different. So the blinking one, it said, right? So I want this one. So a glossy reflecting pool stretches through the gap in the overgrown forest canopy above, surrounded by a greatly worn fence. Small leaves dance on the pool's clear surface, which also glimmers with a reflection of light. Interact. So a glimmering reflective pool stretches out in front of me, its surface bespeckled with fallen leaves. I drop to my knees, first sending a worried look in the direction of my self-proclaimed liberator. She returns the gesture with a coy smile and a quick wave of her hands. I begin to stretch my cupped hands toward the water, but she stopped just short of the surface. I stare down at my reflection, bemused by the figure returning my glare. As an awkward silence begins to envelop the calm ambience, I once again hear the mysterious woman's voice call out to me. "Dear wanderer, there is no need to be of worry. Perhaps you are in great fear of yourself. Does your reflection speak of an essence of many legends? All will be well, dear." Okay, let's try and get this. Tatava's calling is not that of a curse, but rather a blessing. So Tatava. I instinctively close my eyes as an overwhelming perplexity washes over me. Various questions storm throughout my body. What does she mean? Tatava? Many questions fill my mind, and more seem to pop up as I realize my surroundings more and more. Why do I look so different from my last memory? Is she lying to me? How did I get here? Can I trust her? Please, your trust is my teaching, my dear. I deeply vow I will not harm you. Still immensely confused, I figure I have nothing to lose by following her instructions. I stretch my still cupped hands forward into the water before me. A chill runs throughout my entire body, and both my shoulders suddenly jolt forward. The water feels incredibly cool in my hands, seemingly chilling my very bones. I lift it to my mouth. It touches, almost freezing my lips. After a short second of hesitation, I imbibe the water, muddled as it feels strangely warm in my mouth despite its initial chill. As I open my eyes, I am fearfully greeted with an abstract landscape of colors. I feel my vision blur in and out as I wipe my face across my arm. I hear a feminine voice trying to call to me, but her echoes are lost before they touch my ears. In a display of fear, I can feel my breath speeding up as I begin to hyperventilate. As each breath I take reaches new speeds, the colors in my vision begin to twist and contort before my eyes. Despite my immense fear, my hazy memories begin to clear. Foggy tales of I don't know what that word is. Hedonistic ventures, I don't know what that word means. And heroic stories of family and war flood back to me. I can feel tears form as my eyes as I envision what I can only assume to be my death. My disembodied reflection replaces itself with a deep sense of mourning and loss as I feel tears stream down my face. As I feel a growing warmth around me, the abstract field of color in my vision begins to fade back into the light of reality. My breathing and increased heartbeat seem to return to normal in parallel, leaving me just slightly less worn out than it had been moments ago. As all my senses initially return, I find a mysterious lady knelt down just beside me, one hand resting on my left shoulder affectionately. Man, like all the sound effects were like a really nice touch and all that. Just as I had suggested earlier, I find myself wanting to ask many questions, but unfortunately she steals the first word from me. Ah, my dear wanderer, do not fret. I know the experience is never easy. Memories are such delicate topics, are they not? Now, I am sure there is much for you to ask, but first use your newfound words to tell me your name. Oh, interesting, okay. Oh, what do I want to go with here? That name looks cool. I never know what to, like, name myself in these types of games. Maybe I will just go with Ferret, just because that seems like the most logical course. It doesn't seem to fit the tone of this game well, but we'll make it work. Ferret works. Such a lovely name for a wanderer, is it not? Aha! And yet and yet how could I possibly omit such an important facet? You may call me So let's get this. I end up mispronouncing names a lot, so let's try to get this right. So it's Kamala? Kamala. Okay. You may call me Kamala. Kamala retracts her hand from my shoulder as we both rise in unison. Now, my dear Ferret, I am sure you have many questions to ask of me. I will do only the finest to assure your complacency. Oh, jeez. All right, let me grab a drink while we observe all these questions. Okay, just sip. Okay. So, am I dead? Who are you? What is Titvia? What did this pool do to me? Why do you keep calling me Wanderer? I have no more questions. Well, I think we're about to do a lot of dialogue because I'm pretty sure we're going to ask, like, all of these. So I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to start with who are you, because that's, like, I'd like to know that. Oh my god, her eyes. Who am I? Your interest certainly is of great compliment to me, but I insist. Don't try to flatter me, dear Ferret. I don't blush easily. Okay, that. Are you sure? She does blush easily, or she doesn't? Because, God, that face. Contrary to her last anecdote, I see a faint blush forming on her face as she playfully giggles. I am called. Okay. Tirth Ankara, my dear. I guide such wanderers as yourself in ways of nirvana. Tirthkara nirvana? I'm afraid I don't quite understand. All in due time, my dear. One cannot expect to simply know. One must learn alongside their journey. With that cryptic last comment, the conversation seems to die down. Okay. What is Titvia? Ah, such wise questions you possess, my dear. Titva is the land of the lost, where the past, both sinners and saints, come to find inner peace. But how did I get here myself? Now, is it not obvious? You have passed. So Titva, I can't call it Titvia. So Titva is an afterlife of sorts? Afterlife? My dear Ferret, in Titva, you have but yet to incite your journey. While her vague speech leaves me vastly unsatisfied and more confused than before, I realize there's no point dragging on the conversation. Don't really need to ask, am I dead? Because apparently I am indeed dead. Why do you call me Wanderer? Well, surely you wouldn't want me to call you something you aren't, would you, dear? I grit my teeth a bit and give her a slightly sarcastic approval. She lets out a brief giggle before continuing. In Titva, wanderers are simply those who follow the path of samsara, much like yourself, my dear. Wanderers are such sinners who seek the great nirvana. However, the call of nirvana does suit all. Some fear its greatness, while others struggle to achieve it. In a world of sinners, only some can find solace in its calls. But what exactly is nirvana? She shakes her head in disappointment. My dear ferret, that is the very crux of your journey. I am only here to guide you. Knowing I won't be getting much else. Well, one thing I'm having trouble like actually notice when and who and how it was talking. Knowing I won't be getting much else from her, I reflect on her previous comment. And what of those wanderers who never pursue or achieve nirvana? You see, my dear, the question of samsara is not one of short time. Wanderers may be stuck in such a cycle forever. Sometimes sinners never finish their journey, whether out of weakness or out of will. But I warn you, dear wanderer, the self is not a tool to be played with. The longer the journey, the stronger the self will be in return. And must I say, the stronger the self, the harder nirvana will be to achieve. Her speech remains cryptic, but I am able to decipher glimpses of information in her vocal puzzles. Figuring I won't be able to squeeze more useful information out of her, I end the discussion. Last one, we're just going to do this one for now. What did the pool do to me? Passing is quite a difficult task, is it not, dear ferret? With such weariness of the spirit afterwards, one is fated to be forgetful. But what did the pool actually do? The experience was not something of a sedative. Surely it couldn't have just been mere water. The water of the pool simply refreshes your spirit's weary state, my dear. That is all. Nothing of trickery here. Without much hope of a definitive answer, I transition back to the original question. Alright, I don't think we need to bother with this one, so I think no more questions. Now, my dear ferret, I am sure you have many more questions to ask, and I promise they will all come to fruition in due time. At this moment, however, I am afraid those questions are not of utmost importance. In a short silence, Camilla takes a seat on the fence surrounding the reflective pool. She begins to swing her legs back and forth in a childlike fashion. At the same time, she playfully gestures for me to sit before her. As I do as she commands, kneeling comfortably on the ground. As I fulfill her demands, she begins to speak once again. Alright, I think we're gonna... that sounds like a decent place to stop. So, I love this game so far. Like, I love the tone. The art is beautiful. It's really interesting. Like, I don't know. Some of the past visual novels I've played, I've had trouble, like, really getting invested. This one seems cool as shit. Really excited to be able to play it. Definitely going to be a bunch of episodes out on this. So, look forward to more soon, guys. They should be daily here coming. So, thanks so much for watching. And I will see you back on the prowl next time. Bye!